में एस भी हटा सकते हैं।
Welcome to the special show of Global Governance News TV. Today we'll discuss the governments and the media, the role of governments regarding media, and how media is just behaving with the government in the different countries. I'm from India, that is Bharat. We'll talk about the how in our country is going on, and there is so many cases has been filed against the journalists last 10 years. We have data of the 10 years. If you see the data and see the papers and on the discussion, so I can tell you how the relationship of the government and the media now. So on that basis, we see under the famous case Kedarnath Singh judgment 1962. Supreme Court had noted recently that criticism of a government was essential for the smooth functioning of democracy. Actually, just recently a Binodua case was there. So between 2010 to 20, if we see the data, more than 10,000 people were accused of sedition in India, and 65% of these cases has come to light after 2014. But before that, there's so many cases were there, but no media was discussing. But after that, as we know, we have the Modi government. So that is always just try to criticize with all angles. Whatever the case of the Vinod Dua, the sedition was case filed against in Shimla, Himachal Pradesh for some comments made by the Modi Modi government due to the corona pandemic last year on his YouTube channel. He appealed against Supreme Court, and then Supreme Court gave the observation accordingly. So, under the famous Kedarnath judgment case, Supreme Court had noted that criticism of government was essential for the smooth functioning of democracy. The court had said that criticizing the government or commenting on the administration does not constitute a case of sedition. At the same time, unless there is an intention to spread violence or any element of the increasing violence is present, then the statement can't be considered as sedition. However, even after the decision, sedition case has been registered against journalists and activists by the various governments. In fact, after independence, the priority of this law made during the era of British Raj should have ended. Mahatma Gandhi referred to the 124A of the IPC as Rajkumar Prince in the laws curbing civil liberties. According to Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, when any person by words, sign, or visuals representation is spoken or written or any matter attempts to incite hatred or contempt of incitement to the government established by law in India, this action causes or attempt to commit is the accused of sedition. According to database of website, Article 14 from 2010 to 20, as I already told you, shared you, more than 10,000, this is data, 10,938 people were booked for the sedition. It's noteworthy that the interview in the 2016, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the media does its works, it should continue to do it. And it's my clear opinion that there should be a rigorous analysis of the government's work that should be criticism. Otherwise, democracy can't work. So the most media people here are talking about the media and governments. The role of the media in democracy is that the watchdog. But the recent year, there has been the increasing tendency to tolerate criticism of the government, and this is also visible on the social media. Supporters and trolls of the government go after journalists or institutions who criticize the government. Sometimes it comes from the threat of harassment, and it is claimed it is not that trained only the India, but attacks of press freedom either in Pakistan and any part of the world can't be tolerated. That we know it. So again, I just repeat the noteworthy statement of Prime Minister Modi. Media does its work, it should continue to do it, and it's my clear opinion that there should be a rigorous analysis of the government's works, there should be criticism, otherwise democracy can't work. So we all here just for discuss all the issue, how the media work and how should media work with the government And we have the panelists, esteemed panelists. Will introduce you, Mr. Indivar Parizad, the senior journalist with here at UNI and so many publications he has worked, and they keep an eye on the government affairs very closely. We have Rakesh Tiwari from the Canada. He is just editor-in-chief of the Hindia Times Media Group, and more than 25 years he living in Canada and just tracking the media on the India and Canada as well. Mr. Amit Shankar is a writer, the eminent writer of the country, the world. He has written the many books, more than 10 books, as I remember, Amitji. And 4 books are on the way, and just pipeline, we say, as a very always active for the nationalist movement and the writers in the nationalist mode. We have Vandana Jhinganji, very senior journalist from the USA, living in Chicago, and we keep an eye the media movements just for the government and as well as for the country. And but as today I think Vandana is a really true nationalist, just living in Chicago. We have Anita Chaudhary, the senior journalist living in India and just covering the MEA and all accordingly, just to have seen it. Mr. Alok Laharti from the Spain, a senior journalist and research scholar and keeping an eye in the media and the governance. And we have Dr. Anil Tobar. He was a president, a very social activist, a very media-friendly person. And he's also associated with the India World Foundation. He's just one of the founder and president of the IMA chapter of the UP, and always active, so many friends. So we call him, he's a friends of media, media friends, Dr. Kumar. So all the immediate panelists, 1 or 2 may join later on, but now we are start discussion from the Vandanaji. How just you think the relationship of the media and the governments?
Namaskar, everybody. Good evening and good morning, wherever you are. As you mentioned, this is a subject pretty close to us. When we were studying journalism, they say, what I see, I must say that. But now things are, what I say, you must see that. So that is not right. Media has a role. We call it as a watchdog. Definitely, it is freedom of speech, but not at the cost of nation should be seen. We have seen lately things here in US, I can say from the United States perspective, at the last term of the president, how the media behaved. He used to tell them, shut up. This is not, because we should see and say, it is not that whatever opinion, narratives, just setting up narrative is not correct, to be honest. Who are we? And that is what things are differently changing. And if the media gets influenced, there are 2 sides of media. One is called publishing and one is called editorial. When it both compromises, the problem happens. To survive, you need money. Definitely, everybody knows that. Let it be audio visual, like, the print media, whatever, because we're talking about the media perspective. That's what I said. And when we need money to run, but we should not compromise on it. Like, it's not that somebody has paid it, so you can speak their language. You should have your language. What you see, you should say that. And then nation should come first. That is the policy. We can talk it out. I always say that, because as a watchdog, it is not always good to criticize, and it is always not good to sit silent also. There needs to be balances, and we cannot have Godi media, Phalana media, Dhamkana media, like, these kind of terms. You should be able to see if Vandana Jhingan has been punched, she got the same pain like Fatima got the pain. It should not only the Fatima got a pain and that should be seen, and Vandana's pain. Pain is a pain. Blood is the blood, no matter which caste, community, religion it comes from. If we start balancing it out, most of the problems will get over. Thank you.
So nice, Vandana. Just you have. I'll take input from you how the American media works, and later on, just we're going to discussion on. So I'll take the for Rakesh Tiwari ji. How just to comparative the Indian media with the Canadian media, and how the Canadian media work. Just you have worked as well as in India as working in Canada.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Kumar Rakesh. And I think you brought us such a wonderful subject, which is very relevant. I would like to mention two things. Number one thing, uh, please note down that in Canada, under the Canadian Charter of Rights, Article Section, I will say 2B, it says that the freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication, as a fundamental constitutional rights, and every government has to protect it. While I'm saying it, at the same time, media is going through a lot of challenges, and it has been left on its own. Nobody's, no government, politician, or corporates, they like media or they love media. They like or they want to use media for their own. The moment media takes, become unbiased and going are bringing the truth to the public, they don't like it. Be it the any dispensation, so they do that. So in Canada, definitely we have media has more rights. Journalists cannot be, yes, we get sued, that's definitely, but we do get protected. I have one recently a case against my media where under the slap motion where somebody had just sued me, and afterwards we went to the court, and court has said, determined that it cannot happen that you can threaten media and just sue them so they can spend money and therefore you can get away with that. So there are very heavy penalties were charged on it. While I'm saying it, with due respect to Vandana ji, I will say if the freedom of press is as long as there in any country, the country will be safe. If the freedom of press, freedom of media is compromised, country cannot be safe for any means. Governments, no matter what, any government comes, they tend to take more rights, more power, and the way they want to behave it. Now in India, in my understanding, are all over the world, if the human rights, if the civil rights are more protected because of media, because the people who are in power, they get scared because yes, somebody can take our clip, somebody can take our audio, somebody can record it, and that they scared, they get scared. And we can see that. So my submission is only one thing: no matter what, the fundamental, I will say, line of democracy is the fourth pillar of the democracy, which is media. It should be protected. It should be safeguarded at any cost. Thank you.
Actually, just I requested you just to give the picture of the Indo-Canadian relationship and how just media in Canada working. So I'll take the later on this part how the media is free, just like as in India, just in the Canada, either in USA and Spain. So I'll take from Mr. Alok Laharji. Yes, you have seen the both media, the Spain media and the Indian media. So how just you comparative one, how freedom is there? Just
Okay, first of
space
all,
and
there has been a sea change in the media in India.
yeah.
25 years ago, we still had the original Indian Express, and there was a policy which they could write even during emergency and all that. They could leave, the things which were censored in blank. Uh, uh, but over the years, media has become the property of certain political parties in India and also of certain business houses. Now, that is what has curtailed the Indian media's expression. In Spain, it has always been like this because keeping in view that in the Second World War time, 1936 and all that, Spain was a dictatorship under General Franco. So our situation here was something similar to what it has been in India during emergency or even worse. And so after that, when the democracy comes back, the constitution is written, then you have the right-wing parties and the left-wing parties that start off. And everybody has its own newspapers or it also has its own news channels and So here the newspapers work more or less like they do in the United States, perhaps, or in India right now. India, it is not so steep in the sense because the right-wing party hardly has any newspapers or TV channels which support them. So it is mostly the left-oriented or the center-left. But in case of Spain, you will never see them saying that there is no liberty of expression or what are they. But every person, like in case you find somebody in a metro or walking down the street, a person who has got a newspaper in his hand, you can very well make out what his political ideology would be. So what I'm trying to say is that here, every newspaper or every radio station or any on a TV channel, it is normally dictated by the ideology of the owners. And normally it is either right or center left. It goes like that. So freedom is there, but with it, then each one writes according to the editorial policies of the party they belong to or the group they belong to.
Okay. So Alok ji, just you mentioned the mostly media houses run by the interest of the owner of the media houses. It's a
Or the political
partly
party which finances them or is
no.
more.
There's two things just you mentioned. Just the role of the political parties just to the control the media. Number one. Number two, just how the media owners behave with the media people for the government or for their vested interest. There are two things here. So we'll discuss here the vested interest of the media house owners as well as the vested interest of the journalists working in the concerned houses. So I'll check just from the Mr. Indivar Parijat. How just you analyze two things just you have to focus on. They just you have worked the agency and paper also you have you have seen the both media. So how do you analyze the role of media owners for the editorial policy, for their interest and vested interest, whatever you will say? Number two, how the political party influence the media, just in India, just we can say India and otherwise globally and ask. Indivar Parijat.
Yeah, I worked about 13 years in a news agency, where you had to be neutral. So you wrote a story and had to balance the story and taking opinions from both sides. So for me, seeing the media, world now is sorry to say, it's completely shameful to see media houses, senior journalists, all leaning this side or that side, and thereafter their reports also, been, leaning that side or that side. It is for the journalist to, maintain his or her neutrality or objectivity to the extent possible, rather than taking to the following the diktats of the owner or a party. I don't know. It was always so, but people, I will say, had the backbone to withstand that and stand by the story. And as far as you mentioned a case, particular case, but I won't want to talk about that particular case. But what I've seen in general, especially during this time, that is media, we know our rights, definitely, and we are quite vocal about it, especially in a vibrant democracy like India, which is taking giant strides in this century. But no right is absolute. There has to be a reasonable restriction. It is said that your right ends where my nose begins. And I feel the government should have the right to intervene if it considers there is a threat to national security or communal harmony, especially if there is suspicion that DGISPR or CCP, China's Communist Party, has a hand at the back. And there is always the court at the, as a counter check to see if there is any indiscretion by the government. And governments in general have been lenient so far in dealing with fake news or false narratives or news pieces that spread chaos and confusion. anxiety, unrest. But especially this government has been far too lenient because it operated in truly difficult times like Balakot strike or CAA or the Punjab farmers agitation, even during this ongoing pandemic. Government needs to be more proactive in terms of communicating with the media and public at large. And I feel it was found wanting and had to take rearguard action during CAA and Punjab farmers agitation. And it is okay if people are prejudiced, and but it is a sorry sight to see the media is blatantly biased these days. It's a shame. Journalists need to be neutral like international umpires and cricket. You raise your finger when somebody's out, and you raise both your hands to signal a six when somebody hits a six, irrespective of the country the player or the umpire is from. I think journalists need to play their role as ensuring peace and development, communal harmony, stress on news that motivates, inspires people to do good for themselves, their community, their country, and the world. And it is shameful for what is happening right now.
Okay. Actually, just Mr. Parijat, you have stated very clearly and very transparent manner just how you feel, just how media is behaving in India and other parts. But I'll take the inputs from Mr. Amit Shankar and just independent view, how just he thinks about the role of media before 2014 and after, how the one of the uh, gangs, we can say, and one of the groups, as last days our prime minister mentioned, the one section of media has just only criticizing, just like the Congress party. So how do you analyze the statement of Prime Minister Modi, how this in this corona, how they are behaving like that? So uh, I think just how do you analyze the situation with all the narratives you already mentioned so many times in your uh, views and speeches?
I would like to break my answer into three clear and distinct parts. First part being where I would like to take you 20, 30, 40 years back, where news and media clearly had two sections. Section one was of the reporting or the news part, and the second section was of the editorial or view part. What happened over these years, both print and electronic media, the line of reporting and editorial got blurred. So instead, the media, where the primary responsibility was to report, media wrongly assumed that the responsibility which was bestowed upon them was to share their views on a particular news. Now, this is where all this confusion and chaos started. Every news, the focus was less on news and it was less on news. That's part one. Part two, as we evolved as a society, as we evolved as a nation, as we evolved as a world, with electronic media becoming in, with social media becoming in, what happened was that we were polarized. Views were largely polarized in the entire world. Now, if you look at the world with this newfound polarized view, you can very clearly divide the world into two parts: the left and the right. Right? I mean, there would not be a nation which you cannot put a tag on whether the nation is on the right side or the left side. So naturally, then when the world was getting polarized and you and I were getting polarized, the media also got polarized. Now, this, especially in case of media, what it made the media suffer was that from being a watchdog, the media turned into a lapdog. A large part of media is not only in India but around the world, the media has started serving and offering their services to the ruling dispensation. Same goes for India also. Now, what happened with the sudden influx of social media, which has been going for the last 5 or 6 years, media, especially print and electronic, they have been finding themselves on the crosshair of social media, where their news and their views they get dissected within 5 seconds. The moment the news breaks or a view breaks, it comes on social media, and all these YouTubers and guys on Facebook and Twitter, they bombard you with views. It could be left view, right view, or whatever. So the role of media, especially in today's time, becomes very important. And the importance is, as one of our panelists said, that media has to focus more on reporting as the third empire. Media needs to completely get out of the silo of being a party to the government, or not being a the party to a government. Right now, if you look at our media, you can pinpoint that if I play this channel, they would be airing the pro Modi view. If I play that channel will be airing anti Modi view. So the same news of say farmer education. If you switch on to NDG TV, they would be saying something else, and if you switch on to say Z, they would be saying something else. So media, they have to sit and they have to decide that their prime objective is to report. They have to get back to reporting, and the editorial ought to be a section which should be reserved for sharing their news and views. And as a viewer, as someone who consumes media, they should leave this to my decision that how I am consuming their views. So that's my take on media.
Okay, Amizi. Just you have analyzed or views how the just media is behaving, either in country and different parts of world as we know it. I'll take the just two panelists also. I welcome Mr. Sanjay Kaushik. He's a IT person and a very senior IT person of the country, and the managing director of the Netrika Communication. Very keep an eye on this media and very media friendly person. So I just try to find out the person from the different class, so who can understand media, just some input for media. That's why we invited Amit ji and Sanjay ji and Dr. Tomar. So I'll take the input from Anita ji. Before that, I'll just ask Sanjay ji, how just you feel the media has been changed now before 2014 and after? One. Number two, how this new narratives has been formed, the different sections of media, just anti-Modi. How do you just analyze and how do you think on these 2 points?
See, Kumar Rakesh ji, first of all, I think the first and foremost thing which we require to understand is that what we have seen at most is the fake news. There have been ample amount of fake news which has been floating across, and some of the social media platforms have been, we very lightly call it as WhatsApp University or social media university or whatever. But the kind of unverified news, the fake news which is flowing around, and it's the usage of the internet which has actually increased in last couple of years, that has made it. And there is no accountability. I write anything against Mr. Modi, I write against anything against government of India, I write against anything against the nation, and there is no accountability. You can't even touch me, you can't even find me. I can just create a fake account and start posting anything which I like on the Twitter or on the Facebook. Where is that social media accountability, and who's taking that? With the current regime, the current, if you have seen that the current law which the IT minister has clearly said, all the social media giants will have to follow that, is very important. I have been actually, forcing, and I've been actually advocating this for last so many years, that there has to be an accountability on the social media. You just can't keep posting anything. Every corporate, forget about the government, corporates are fighting the menace of the fake news. There have been, the news, the WhatsApp message will come that the kurkure has some substance which is not useful, and you can't eat those kurkures. Now, look at the company who has spent thousands of crores to build that brand, and one WhatsApp message which is going viral is going to destroy the entire brand. And the same thing is happening with the government of India. Same thing is happening with Modi ji. Same thing is happening with the India as a nation. Where is the accountability? Who's checking that? I think that's one pertinent question which everybody has to answer, and that's where the media has changed. There has been a lot of online media studios, online publications which are there, again the accountability is very, very low. I think we all has to, and you are a very, very senior journalist. With you and other folks who have been there in this industry, this media for long, everybody has to lobby for a responsible journalism. I think that is
That's
where it is very,
that's
very.
nice point. Nice point you raised. That's you are here seeking the discussion, just as you mentioned, Sanjay ji, for the accountability and responsibility of the media, how media should be accountable. One just instance I remember, just I read somewhere, Chelapati Rao was editor of National Herald. That time, Prime Minister was Pandit Nehru, and Pandit Nehru just went Allahabad and do some, I think, public rally. After that, he came to Delhi and just talked to Mr. Chelapati Rao. Just this is my news. This is my speech we made at Allahabad, and just please see it and how it published. Chelapati Rao, like editor, one of the renowned editor of the world and the country. Okay, I'll see. Please keep it. And they made and go. I always quote in the media student also wherever I go, just to teach the media. I always try to understand from the media student the new era of the media student. So next day, Pandit Nehru just was just seeing the paper and viewed where the news published. That time print media before 2000, print media also powerful, now today also powerful and very responsible and accountable. So he found his speech was published on page 3. He was thinking that I am Prime Minister of the country, my news should be published on front page. Then he reacted. I just asked Mr. Chelapati Rao, how and why you my speech, important speech published in the page 3, although he was chairman of the board. And Chelapati Rao was just an employee of the group. Then Chelapati Rao said, I am editor of the paper, you are not, Mr. Prime Minister. Nowadays we can analyze the situation? Can we nowadays we can just view from any editors, not in India, any part of the world, how Alok Laharji reacted. Just this is for the West media honors has on agenda. Media persons, whatever media was, I don't like the word media, but journalism is a great word. Whatever we have just last 35, 30 years, we have seen in the country and the different parts of the world. So now my question is, with all the inputs, Anita Chaudhary ji already spent more than 20 years in the media, work for the different channels and the newspapers. Anita ji, how do you analyze the situation in media? How the situation is gone? Talking accountability and credibility and responsibility on these 3 terms. How can you survive now? If nowadays anybody become the editor, everybody think, okay, the editor is now become the manager. I'll quote and quote here Jaypal Reddy. As Jaypal Reddy, the former IME minister, one day I was just going to meet him with our Indian National Federation Journalist Secretary Ellen White. I'm quote unquote, I'm telling you, Rakesh ji, I don't find just you came here for your journalist cause and with your association, world association leaders, but I find 95% media journalists and editors only came to me for the work of the honors, not for the media cause. So please, Anita ji.
Should I start? Yes, Mr. Yes, Rakesh ji. If you will talk about the Modi, the thing is that either you are a supporter of Modi or you are against Modi. You can be pro or you can be against. But media after Modi cannot survive without Modi. If he is the headline, then only media get the viewership. It's not only about the India, it's about on international media also. Now, Indian Prime Minister is a headline on international media forum also. Either it's BBC or New York Times, Washington Post or Times Magazine. Look, media is now a frustrated mob. We were calling media as a watchdog, but now they are behaving as a barking dog. And if you will talk, there was some kind, before Modi, there was some kind of perception in media that they are the power maker. They define the destiny of politician, and whatever they will show, public will move as per that only. But after Modi government has rejected all this perception. Modi has worked as per the requirement, as per the need, as per the need of the country, as per the need of the people of this country, and they started making policy as a progressive policy as per the requirement and the need of this country, and what they can do to build up the emerging face of India. But what now is going on after either is Sahin Bagh or 370 or the farmers' agitation or many things. The list is long. Whenever these kind of things comes, we have the very weak opposition. That weak opposition, the clueless, issueless opposition, they don't have any kind of agenda to degrade this government. So what they have started, they started to use media. If they are not able to manage the national media, they do it from international forum. And the few section of media, they refer those articles and the visuals of international media, and they show that how this government is working pathetically. For example, I am talking about the Times magazine. Before 2019 election, Times magazine has a cover page story that is India's divider in chief, and the Modi was there. The picture of Modi was on that front page story. When Modi has won the election, that only media. Look at the confused steps and opportunist step of these medias. After winning the election with 303, you can say the 303 numbers, that Times magazine only has published again the cover page story. Modi has united the India.
No, actually, Anitaji, we are not talking about Modi here, number one. So we will talk about the responsibility, credibility, and accountability of media.
I'm talking about that accountability only.
Yeah. There are so many cases and references. There are so many cases and references we'll discuss.
When Washington Post shows the Shaheen Bagh agitation and
I'm trying to take.
They refer that as per the Washington Post, because they know that
Washington Post is not a
freedom of speech.
Anitaji, we are not here for discuss the Washington Post and the Los Angeles Times. Sorry.
I just want to complete my sentence.
Please.
I just want to complete my sentence.
Please,
the Indian Constitution has given the freedom of press and speech, but they have set the accountability also. If they will, they know that if they will show with their own, the court can, and they can be hanged in the court, because they have to prove that they have to prove that why you are saying like this. Or if the court is finding that this is not a valid thing, it's provocating violence, is dividing society, and this is not as per the law, they can punish. So they refer as per Washington Post, as per
okay, madam. Okay, no. Okay.
So this is the accountability. I am the chairman on this kind
okay.
of.
I got your point. I think the perception of media, either the world media regarding India, should not be just considered as the parameters. My view is input. I'll take the inputs from all the panelists. The perception about India. So my question is, Bandana ji, do you think the perception of India has been changed after Modi came in power in India? There is both sides. Please.
This previous speaker, what she was talking about, the government after the 2014, because how the India was seen before, how India is now. And that depends on India And India has to set its own narrative. As the freedom of speech, constitutional right, it should not only stay on paper, but accountability is also very important. What does happen when, if they are reporting something which has been proven without a fact check, and if it has been proved wrong, what is the punishment? So media has to play a role. Let it be for government or not for the government. I'm not even talking about that, to be honest. Because when we talk about, like, watchdog, why should we say barking dogs? Because I am never even
Yeah, yeah.
Washington Post, New York Times. We don't even read them. Those
Ah,
are also not the
no, no,
newspapers
no,
that we
no
should
need
be
to discuss.
considering.
No need to discuss.
No,
Yeah,
there is no point.
yeah,
Because why we mention and give them publicity, to be honest? In
yeah. You're
today's
right.
time, your work should speak. And when we are talking about the pandemic, how it has been seen and shaped in India, you saw, we faced in US at this time last year what was happening in New York. I know that. We were crying. We had tears all over. But how the US media played and how the
Yeah,
pandemic situation India made play. So that should be like, government has to work definitely, because it is not that you can keep saying anything like the what happened in the Pulwama, and they're asking for, oh, you give us a proof. What the hell is that? So government also has to take a very strong step, not only for the media, but people within, like, social media. Everybody is a journalist with this kind of phone in their hand. They say, I can report anything. And
yeah.
then,
The
so that,
new terminology is a citizen journalist.
yeah.
Yeah,
So what is
yeah.
accountability? As the previous
Yeah.
speaker said, wo kurkure ke baat hua. Are, like, it is not about, I'm not talking about any individual product or like a brands and all, but everybody has to be accountable. And if that the guy,
Yeah.
how it originated, where from it originated. So that is the main key.
Okay. Okay. So nice, Vandanaji. Everybody should be accountable, and every media person should be accountable. Not everybody. Every media person should be accountable.
I just want to add one thing. I was in
Please,
New Delhi after
please,
14 years when
please.
we have the 26/11. I was shocked to death watching the TV in India. 14 साल के बाद में मैं भारत गई थी. How the reporting was done for the Bombay, the Taj
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
I said, we
Yeah.
never do that, these kind of things. So what happened to those kind of reporters? How many lives did we lose? Kargil, what happened? I was here watching it. So accountability.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are right. Rakesh Tiwari ji, just you have something you want to add. The how the this is the freedom of speech, whatever is the Constitution of India. Do you think, as a Indian Canadian, I'll take the from the how the Canada behaves with the media. That is one part. But now, how can analyze the freedom of speech in India has just overrated, that's not properly controlled, not properly just obeyed by the subsection of media as a nationalist.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kumar Rakesh ji. In fact, Mr. Just all the panelists who are here, I know you are journalists for sure. You mentioned Anita ji, she is journalist as well. Other
All are
people,
journalists except Abhi Shankar ji and the Sanjay Kaushik ji. All are
everybody is
journalists.
journalist.
Yeah,
Okay, so then
except
with all due respect,
Abhi Shankar
seems
is a
like,
writer, yeah, and
yeah.
Sanjay Kaushik is a technocrat. Yeah.
Okay, let me say this, Miss, with all due respect to Vandana ji, all respect to Anita ji, seems like the whole effort is to safeguard Modi ji and this current dispensation in India. The subject matter is media and the government. So when we're talking about media and government, I mean, I was just checking it, and you are over
Sorry,
there
Tiwari ji.
in India.
This is
It's
not a matter. This is not a matter to save the Modi.
no, no. Let me complete my
No, no,
thought.
no.
So
I am adding your. I adding your
yeah.
comments. Here is no here sitting here to save the Modi. But
As
as a statement I read of the Modi, media should be
Modi
critical,
government has
but
his
not
Modi
biased.
government has his
As we
Modi
think,
government.
media should be
Yes,
critical, but
exactly.
not a biased. Biasness should not be
Yeah,
there.
we should not be. We should not be. And yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So my point is there that okay, and media's job is there is two things definitely which come to here. Let me say this: some of the data which is in front of me. that in 2020 alone, 67 journalists in India has been arrested and detained. Some of the news came, some of the news not came. Media, I must say, in Canada, what we are discussing here, that as Anita ji has mentioned, Vandana ji has mentioned, that what we are facing here is the so-called social media, which is unaccountable totally, and it is a lot of fake news. A lot of those things are going on, and where journalists are going out of job, they are getting layoffs. We don't have and as a journalist, I'm saying, okay, we are all suffering through that, and everybody wants accountability from us. My question is there, what support you are going to giving to your journalists? Go on online, all the newspapers and all the media, we are all like, and how we are carrying it. So right now, the government, they don't care about it. They are cutting the left, right, and center, be it in Canada, be it in India too. Left, right, and center, all your advertisements are going out there, and you have no rights. Okay, in my understanding, if you have made, I was observing and watching that in
Only
Maharashtra,
this year.
some comments was made against
What kind of logic is
Bala
one?
Sahib Thackeray. No, Anita ji, let me complete it. Whosoever is there, please. Okay, so a comment has been made. Okay, so go and whatever the legal, rulings or whatever has supposed to be done. Okay, but police goes and pick it up, and when against any another person it happens, no big deal. Okay, so media has its own rights. When we talk about media's duty, me they definitely, in my understanding, accountability. All the journalists, they are accountable. If they are not journalists, then they are not accountable. So if I'm writing, if I'm saying, am I writing? If I'm a true journalist, I am with my convictions. But I'm not against or pro against any government. In my understanding, all the governments, as long you speak in their favor, they will talk to you. They're very good, very good.
Rakesh ji,
And
you
the
are a
moment
very
you criticize
hypocrite.
them, they
You are a
go,
very
they
hypocrite.
go full hand.
You are a
Anita
very
ji,
hypocrite person, Rakesh ji.
Anita ji, this is
That
not
I can
fair.
say.
This is
So
not
when
fair.
it comes
You
to
are a
Canada,
journalist. You cannot tackle
when
me.
it
Please
comes
don't
to
do that.
Actually,
Canada, my
Don't
Tiwari
government,
ji,
my
tackle.
government does this, my
Tiwari ji,
government does this.
Don't
When
tackle,
it
please.
comes to India, you
With due
always
respect to you.
point out the wrong things, and you are
No,
sitting
no.
there. You
You do
don't think
whatever you
how
want
the
to
India is
say,
growing,
but don't hackle.
how the
Your
India is
no, no,
your
growing.
turn has
When
come.
it is
Anita
when
ji,
We have an
Anita ji.
anchor here,
I,
anchor and host
wrong.
here.
Every time
He
I
can
have seen
interrupt.
that Canada has this kind of system. Canada has this kind of
Yes, we
system.
have it.
But India has to learn. India has
Charter. Yes,
all
not
the
from
system.
no,
Canada.
no, no,
Yes,
Learn
sorry,
from
most of
sorry.
the
Canada.
stuff they're wrong.
Please
But
do
when
learn
it
from
comes
Anita ji,
to
Canada.
Canada, should also
Anita ji,
appreciate
Learn from
not
Canada.
only
I will say that.
Anita ji, Anita ji,
Do
we
learn.
are talking.
Please, I will welcome you here.
no, you are a very hypocrite person. He's a very hypocrite person.
No, no, this should not be.
I'm
This
sorry,
type
actually,
language should
I
not be
missed
used
it.
for anybody. Sorry. I am sorry on behalf of Anita ji. For any panelist, we should just behave like the discipline and sober manner.
Yes.
So, please.
It's when it comes to my
Don't
country,
hackle, please.
No, no,
it's
no,
a
no.
third
No, no.
world discussion. When
Anita
I'm
ji,
It's not
Anita
only
ji,
your
saying that
time. I was
in
I was
Canada,
Anita ji,
like
please.
don't do
in
that.
Canada and India,
Anita ji, we are talking about the Canada in the media in Canada. This is different way in America, India.
I have
So
all my right to
we
protect my
can't
country.
we can compare, but we
We are
can't say we are the
journalists.
best. He is not.
We are
Sorry,
journalists.
please, Anita ji,
We are all
we are
journalists.
how the rules and regulations, how the constitution, either Spain, either Canada and USA, all are different. But we
Yes.
can't compare. We can't compel to do just our India is the best. Yes, we are the best. We was the best. We'll be the best. But we have to analyze ourselves also. How just
Not
you
best yet.
said,
Better.
and
You can say better,
Bandara ji
not
said,
best. Best is
Tiwari
yet
ji.
Oh my
yet
No,
to
God.
achieve.
no. Tiwari ji,
Yeah.
whatever you said, that is new narratives has been going to form the for some section of society and media
Just 1
society,
month of difference.
as our
Divide
prime
and
minister
conquer
also
unite.
mentioned. No. Actually, our prime minister also just concerned, just mentioned in his speech a section of media as trying to make the different narratives. So that is a matter of concern. The most, as just Vandana ji say, how the New York Times behave, the Trump, and how Trump just feel it, how Trump behaving the media in USA. I have seen so many
Same
footages.
way.
That was
Channel
no
was
way.
same way. They're
So,
divided. They are
but
divided.
our
That's
prime
what's
minister
divided.
behave any media, there will no big hue and cry. So we are discussing about how the media in the different countries, how the
Well,
media in India
can
also.
I
So
criticize Modi ji? Can I criticize Modi
no
ji
no
for
no
not
no no
giving
no
interviews to interview
no Tiwari
to
ji,
journalists
yeah
or
yeah yeah yeah.
doing the press conference? Yes.
No. This is press conference. These are different. This is their prerogative and how they're behaving.
No,
We are
sir.
not
Well,
not here for the dictation. We are not. This is a different matter. You see, last 10 years, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh only 2.5 press conference. You
well,
know
that's
it.
wrong. Yeah,
But
I know.
nobody saw it.
I know it's
No,
wrong.
nobody mentioned. Before that,
Well, we should
I've been
mention.
covering
We should mention it.
the politics and bureaucracy since 1989. I have seen the 10 prime minister. I can give you the
Again,
comparative history with all the prime minister, how they're behaving or
again, it
not.
is wrong.
But
I think
that is different issue.
every month, the prime minister should face the press and
No.
take the questions
How your prime minister, Tiwari ji, how your prime minister behaving in the media?
every
They
day,
organize.
every day,
No,
every day.
I I don't think so.
During
I
the
don't
no,
think
no,
so.
no. During the COVID period, every day he was asked the question. Every even opposition leader, prime minister has to come
Every,
and we ask. I have asked.
Very
okay,
nice.
okay. That's good if the Canada is there. So nice of you.
Yeah,
That this
that's
was
why I say
system.
that
Our
Very
system is
good, very
different
media is
good.
now.
better here in
So
Canada, definitely.
I will say the
I'll
hypocrite
take
man.
Alok ji. Alok ji, just to think how the media is behaving. Just I wanted to know from you just how the media is behaving. What is written, what is propagated. That is different way. But how does intake? Alok ji, how does the media behaving in Spain?
You're behaving where?
Yeah.
But where? In which country?
In
Pardon?
Spain, I guess is
Are you talking about Spain or are you talking about India?
No. Talking about is Spain. How the media are behaving in Spain, and just to
Spain.
comparative to India. That my question is to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I think Indian media is very responsible, be it the left wing or the right wing media. I
Very
mean, for
true.
example, political discussions in Spain, there's no haggling at all. And
Yeah,
most of the time, like when I see, I've stopped watching Indian television because they're talking over each other. I cannot make out what they're saying. So everybody is
absolutely.
given time. You say whatever you feel like saying, and the other person says. Sometimes there is cross wording over each other, but we also don't have something called the agenda, or made to order kind of a journalism. So what I've seen in India is that um, they are people who will just make the news for you according to your requirement. Let's say I go there and I pay them money and I tell them that I want this and this person to be, made a superstar in next 6 months. I think it goes like that, and then there's a team of people, and we tried doing this with a sports thing we were doing. It was impossible for us to get any kind of news printed anywhere, and then we caught hold of a person who was a media manager, and he charged us some money, and there were about 10-20 people in the press conference, and the person who was doing the press conference was Mr. Nobody. So that kind of a thing is not possible in Spain. I mean, what you can do is you can buy space and then do it. But made to order kind of thing, which is happening in India right now, or for example, before you start the channel, you know what the public opinion would be. Now, what is also happening is because of the social media, the reporting part of the media is irrelevant because for example, there was this terrorist attack in Barcelona also, and on WhatsApp there was more information, or in Twitter there was more information, and probably 30 minutes later the media got to know of this. Now what did happen was, like, there were very gruesome pictures of any kind of thing like this, but then there was a tweeter from the police, and they said, "Please don't spread these pictures because it is something you playing with the intimacy of a person." And immediately, people who were reporters, everybody who's got a mobile is a reporter today, but they behave properly. But that's the general sense of responsibility which people have. Now, this is true for anybody who's become a reporter just because he's carrying and at
Okay,
times they
okay,
give you more candid shots, or
okay.
it's their reporting which is picked up by the national newspapers or international newspapers, and they are actually reporting because their reporter was not present. So I think right now the role of the media is more about public opinion, making opinion, and this journalists in India have understood this, and that's the reason they are not reporting. They are misreporting, or they are making news, out of the blues. It doesn't exist. But if we have the leader of the opposition who
I
comes up
think
and says
I think
something
it
which is so
Alokji,
tremendous,
I
and
think
then
it is
he's
happening
asked,
everywhere.
he's
I think the misreporting and thus the exaggerated reporting out of the facts, not mentioning the facts. I
no,
think
it's
this is the now
outright lying.
global phenomena.
There's somebody who's absolutely lying, and there's nothing, and he goes to the court and he says, "Oh, ये कुछ ज़्यादा हो गया." Like
Yeah.
that's not done. So जवाबदेही जो है, nobody is responsible. Anybody can say anything and get away with it. This is
Yes,
not happening in Europe or in Spain. I mean, I really doubt if this happens
in
in
Canada
Canada.
also.
Like you say a lie and you get away with it. For
No, you
example,
cannot.
we were talking about the international press. There was this they had published a picture of a girl who had fainted, and it worked out that it was a picture of a gas leak which happened 2 years ago, and there is no there's nobody who is
My
I can
question to
get away
every
with it
panelist.
saying that I'm a journalist
We have
and I'm going
But
to
the
Alokji,
reveal
problem is,
my
Alokji, my
source of
judiciary, our
information, and
judiciary
I'm
is also
saying
become a
blatant
media
lies and nothing
attention
happens.
keener.
no, okay, Anita
They
ji,
are also managing media because
no,
they take suo moto when it's
judiciary is
not
different
needed,
part.
but they
Judi-
never take suo moto when it's urgently needed. So our judiciary is now attention keener of media. They are also working under the pressure of media. The
Okay,
voice of media is so
Sanjay ji,
loud and
something
they
to
are
add.
so
No, but they
pressurized.
always did. If Supreme Court was open at 2 o'clock at night, they were under pressure from the media.
So many times
Very
No,
true.
citizen has
that was
tried to
that was a
force
different
put
pressure,
some
not
accountability
the
on
media
media.
pressure.
The
That
Supreme
was a
Court,
vested interest pressure.
Supreme Court guideline and order is that
Sanjay
media
ji,
is a
Sanjay ji,
responsible organization.
I
They
think
should
Anita,
maintain the
Anita ji,
decorum and put their own
Sanjay,
accountability. This is the
okay,
line of Supreme Court.
my
no,
my my point here is that first of all, I think the media houses or the news channels are there to report the news. They are not to make the news. If it is a
Exactly.
cricket match, a team A
that's
has
nice,
won, or
nice,
team A
nice.
has won, just tell the team A has won. You are not
Yeah,
there to analyze why team won, why team lost, and all how players this and that. It's a news. You have to just tell the news that the team A has won. Simple as that. When you start
sure.
analyzing, when you start adding multiple things, I think that's where the entire game changes. There are so many media houses in the country or in the globe. Everyone is a commercial organization. When you become a commercial organization,
Yeah.
there are more vested interested which one has to take. I'll just rest myself here. Thank you.
So nice of you. That's the well placed views. The make the news, not the report the news, not the make the news. The cooking of the stories, as we know, all the professor journalists, how the story cooked. If you cook anything that is not happened, that make the say that make the controversy. That there is no way. So we should be the factual. That we're talking about the responsibility, accountability with the truth. Truth must prevail through the different uh, with the media, and that we should advocate for the truth and facts. Whatever you have advocated here. So I'll take that from everyone. Just two things, two questions, simple answer. Running of time only, I think we have 3 and 4 minutes. So 20, 30 seconds from each panelist. So Amir Shankarji, how do you analyze the truth about the media? How media should be reported, and for the India and for the humanity? Please unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Just
Please.
my advice to media is that they have to understand that media is not the entertainment channel, right? So So anything, any stray incident which happens anywhere, it can't be breaking news throughout the 250 channels, each channel saying the same thing, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Two is that media should focus more on factual reporting. Like I've said in my opening comment also, that focus more on reporting and let your viewer decide how he wants to ingest the reporting which you have been doing. Two. Three is the media has to realize that nation is not only about Modi, right? There is so much going around the nation,
Yeah,
around the
yeah.
society, around the city. So this Modi obsession of media
I
has to
think
stop
you are talking about
completely.
the Indian media. You are talking about the Indian
Yeah,
media, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, so nice. So, in your Parijatji, that's okay. Amit Shankar Nesser is not for the only Modi, but he's the prime minister of the country. So every time, everybody has to right to discuss and just discussing also. So, in your Parijatji.
Yeah, I want to say that, I think we've taken this job of creating public opinion just too seriously. We don't have to feed the public with our opinion and, be a part of the PR bandwagon, make or break someone's image. We need to inform, report facts, leave the job of making opinion to the public. As somebody very rightly said, people could be polarized, but why is the media polarized? And this is on the media job, and as the question of international media role was raised, I would give an example of the Indian media. How we would show, or in what light would we show Pakistan, or happenings or events in Pakistan. We would generally show Pakistan in poor light. We would mock how politicians should behave, or things bad happening. We rarely show things which are done well, or development or positive there. This is not saying particular to India, but this is a feeling, or this is how media feels all across. The West would look at India the same way. BBC or some other country would show India, it would naturally in poor light. It would not want to show usually in good light, because it's like showing, trying to make your line appear bigger by showing somebody's line smaller. It's as silly as that. But this is what we're doing, and doing all that. Do we that maybe the media is doing, because that is very
Okay,
natural. But
okay, okay.
there is a limit to it. No, we can't interfere in how some other countries run, or we can't be taking the job of dividing people or public opinion in that country. For example, it is not for India to lecture how Nepal should run their country and tell Nepal, learn from us, see how this or that is better in India than yours. Can we do it? Similarly, can some other country do it? What ground do they have to lecture India how that they don't know what the situation here is? Whatever they may claim.
So
I think
yes, you're right.
at some
You're
part,
rightly said. You're rightly said. In the we're just running of time, only 2 minutes now. So I'll agree with the Vandana ji also. Just they don't care about the Washington Post and whatever LA Times and writing about whom, but we should focus for our concern, for our country, our ethos, our value. Either if you're living in Spain, how the Spain media is behaving, living in Canada and living in the USA. So this is a total responsibility of the media for the I think, and we analyze the situation and we analyze from all angles. So we should be very proactive for the advocate to the truth, facts, not exaggerated things, and not new narratives. Just whatever made in India, new narratives, all just to corner to Narendra Modi government without any reasons. Whatever Prime Minister Modi also feels like that already, concerned about that, and everybody just if one-sided thing, if you advocate and just target, that will be should not be for any country, for any media people, as we feel and we think media is independent, should be independent with all manners. Either governments comes and go, but we should be just judicious Anita ji also said that judiciary will talk in the other discussion, media and judiciary, how judiciary is behaving with the media, how they are under pressure with the own concern, how many different type peoples are there. So nice of you, and thanks all of you.
1 second, Rakesh ji, just 1 second.
Please, please.
I just want to say, last week I had a physical visit of my mother to a doctor, like, annual visit. And she's my mom and dad's doctor. You know what she said? As a journalist, how I felt a pain. She said, I tell each and every patient of mine, those who are 65 to 70 plus, stop watching the news. Don't watch news for more than half an hour. That gives you more of a stress. Can you believe it? How I felt? And she knows that I'm that profession. So we don't watch the news anymore because there is no news. When we have that, so that is a very important component. And I request actually the media houses also to change their practices, how they are doing it, how it used to be before and how it is now.
No,
Thank
you're
you so
talking. No, thank you. So nice. You're talking about the Indian media and the US media.
No, she said news for
Indian.
to everybody, even CNN, Communist News Network. She said, I tell it to all my patients, That's what she said, not to any yeah.
So nicely, just here somebody says the All India CC, AICC is a converted name, the All India Christian Congress. Somebody saying just one of the Congress leader also. So there is different perceptions. I'm not going on that. So, but we have just discussed about the government and media. We'll discuss the more and how the media, the judiciary, and the media, the person and the people. So I think so nicely you all the presented your view regarding the government relation of government and media, and thanks to all of the panelists who just came in our Global Governance News TV. And again, we'll invite you accordingly. So for nice, wonderful discussion on this subject. So nice of you, and thank you for just participated in our special show on the government and media. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.